a major instrument maker in Shizuoka's exhibition hall. Founded in 1887, its name is now known worldwide. Its wide range of key, string, and wind instruments are known and loved in and outside Japan. Here's a product that opened up a whole new market. This is our first model. A silent system piano first released in 1993. Play, and of course sound comes out. But when you push in the center pedal and press a switch, as you can see, sound no longer comes out. But listen from the headphones. You can even control the volume with your touch, just like before switching modes.
Our story begins in the 1960s. Japan was experiencing rapid economic growth. More households began to own pianos. It was a sign of prosperity. And more people were enjoying playing at home. But soon, a problem emerged, largely in major cities. The problem was piano noise. Much Japanese housing is wooden, and apartments are often packed close together. Loud noise from pianos began to cause trouble among neighbors. A large instrument maker known for their pianos began work to solve this issue. In a piano, when you press the keys, hammers strike strings to produce sound. The maker began various tests to reduce that sound. This muffler felt, which attaches to the inside of a piano, was released in 1965. The aim was for the felt to muffle the sound when the hammers struck the strings. But it changed how the keys felt to play. In 1976, they released an electric piano. It converted string vibrations into electrical signals. The volume could be changed, but the piano's tone was altered. How to solve this sound problem? In 1992, the maker's piano division reassembled a design team to take on the challenge. This is Koseki Shinya, an engineer who worked on the team. A pianist since age 4, he has a deep love for the instrument.
I've been playing since I was 4, so the piano is very familiar to me. I kept playing even when I joined the company, so I've got a lot of emotional attachment.
The firm had been working on the sound problem for years. The team was determined to solve it. The goal was to make a quiet piano that still preserved the tone and feel of a normal one. But pianos were made for playing in large concert halls. Research had been done to make the sound louder, but now the company had to do the opposite.
The piano has existed for over 100 years. Primarily, people have worked to make them louder so that the sound can reach the very back of concert halls. Our goal was in the exact reverse direction. There were some team members who were quite surprised.
How to make a quieter piano? The team discussed day after day, with many opinions emerging. Then, one day, one member had an idea. Maybe it's not about making it quieter, but getting rid of the sound altogether. The team looked at the movement of the hammers in the piano. When you play a key, a hammer hits a string inside to produce sound. If you stopped this action right before the hammer hit, you would stop the sound itself. From this was born the idea for a piano with a silent system. Replacing the sound from the strings would be a microchip programmed with piano sounds. Electronic pianos have no hammers or strings. The sound comes from a chip containing piano sound. The team wondered if they could use this sound chip in their silent system piano. They got right to work on a prototype. However, they soon ran into a problem: the tone. The issue was the chip used in electronic pianos. People versed in piano could instantly tell they were hearing electronic sounds.
In acoustic pianos, the sound reverberates from the soundboard, the strings, the body itself. With electronic pianos, the sound is only coming from the headphones, straight to the ears. So it sounds quite different.
Were there any other chips out there? The team began to research and found help close at hand from the Electronic Musical Instrument Division of their own company. Speaking to the division, the team learned an electronic piano they were developing had a new sound chip. The team quickly borrowed that chip. They gave it a try, and the tone was much improved.
Right at that time, electronic pianos were changing from mono to stereo sound. The audio was very nice. We had the feeling we could use this new chip.
The team decided to use the chip in the heart of their new piano. They proceeded with the creation of their prototype. There was another issue facing the team's silent system piano: the feeling when playing the keys. In pianos, hammers hit strings. The sound's intensity varies depending on how hard you play the key. In their system, this movement was stopped before the hammer hit. So how to vary the intensity of the sound? This challenge was tackled by Ura Tomoyuki, who volunteered to join the team.
I heard that even famous pianists were struggling with the piano noise problem. So I wanted to help create a piano that would be useful for such people. That's why I joined the team.
Ura began looking into the issue. Delving deep into how pianos function, he began looking at a specific part. The hammer was stopped right before hitting the string. Could they determine the intensity of the sound by using the speed it was traveling before being stopped?
It's just an instant. By measuring the speed of the key, you can guess at the movement of the hammer. So, by measuring the key's speed, you can sense performance information.
With that, the team considered placing sensors in the piano's keyboard. First, They attached thin metal plates to the undersides of the keys. When the metal plates were pushed down, the length of time the light was blocked was detected. That length of time was converted into levels of intensity, and the sound chip played a tone that matched the signal. Key here was a microcomputer program installed in the piano that would interpret the signal intensity. Ura worked hard on this program day after day, trying it out. Even if he played hard, only a weak sound emerged. Plus, there was a delay in the sound's timing.
In terms of intensity and timing, key movement is complex. The timing had to be spot on, and there are many levels of intensity, so getting them to come out smoothly was quite tough.
The team continued to refine and try out the program day after day. It gradually improved, and the silent system came closer and closer to completion. But one day, the team ran into an unexpected problem. People high up in the company who were against the system. As a maker of pianos used in concerts worldwide, the company was the face of Japan in the piano world. Was it okay for such an established maker to create a silent system piano? Some in the company had misgivings.
Some felt it was absurd to put electronic sound in an acoustic piano. They thought it was against the value and direction of an acoustic instrument. There was a negative feeling toward electronics among some segments of the company.
The only thing to do was to have those higher-ups listen to the piano. They called them in for a presentation. The higher-ups assembled in front of the prototype piano.
We brought the piano to a large meeting room for an in-company presentation and invited a skilled pianist. There were various feelings about the piano, so I was quite nervous.
First, the piano was played in normal mode. Its beautiful tone reverberated throughout the room. But the issue was the response to the silent system. The pedal was switched to silent mode as the team watched nervously. The higher-ups looked on quizzically as the piano was played silently. They were soon handed headphones. If the piano didn't meet with their approval, the hard work would be rendered meaningless. The team waited for the response while hoping for the best. The piano could be heard from the headphones. One higher-up said, "Nice sound." The others passed the headphones around, listening in succession. Their responses were all of surprise.
They said it was unexpectedly good. They had an image of electronic pianos in their mind, and we surpassed that image. I was so glad I was part of the development team, and what I believed to be a good product was accepted.
With that, the piano was released to the general market. Sales were double what the maker had anticipated. It was the biggest hit in their history.